Street Underdogs 2 by Lewis Critchley. Chapter 1. A crisp autumn breeze rustles the golden leaves blanketing the yard. Rascal, noble and proud, stands sentinel on the porch steps, Lottie by his side. Their eyes shine with the contentment of a life well lived and a love fully realized. Around them, their pack frolics joyfully. Buster and Scout chase each other through crunching leaf piles, while Chief supervises with a tolerant eye. Suddenly, an ominous rumble cuts through the pastoral scene. A dark van emblazoned with a government seal roars up the drive. Rascal and Lottie exchange an uneasy look. Farmhouse yard, day. I don't like the look of this. Not one bit.
Darling, you don't think?
But before Rascal can answer, armed men in tactical gear pour out of the van. They advance on the pack, brandishing poles and nets. Panic erupts.
What's the meaning of this? Get off our land!
Rascal? What's happening? Rascal leaps forward, placing himself between his family and the threat. I don't know who you are or what you want, but you'd best turn around and get while the getting's good. This here's our home, and we'll defend it to our last breath. The lead agent smirks, unfazed. By order of the Municipal Animal Control Ordinance, all unlicensed and free-roaming dogs are to be collected and impounded. Effective immediately. He signals to his men.
Round 'em up, boys.
Chaos breaks loose as dogs flee in all directions, the agents in hot pursuit. Nets whiz through the air, poles lash out to hook collars. One by one, Rascal's pack is snared and dragged yelping to the van despite their fierce resistance. Rascal fights like a demon, dodging and parrying, allowing the others time to scatter. But there are too many agents coming from all sides. Inevitably, a net ensnares him. As he's hauled away, he locks desperate eyes with Lottie, who has somehow evaded capture. Run, Lottie! Don't look back! I'll find you. I swear it. Lottie takes a halting step towards her love, anguish painted on her face.
Rascal, no, I can't leave you.
Yes, you can. You must. Live, Lottie, live, and I'll come for you. Agents lunge for Lottie. With a choked sob, she turns and flees into the woods, their grasping hands missing her by inches. Rascal sags in his net, relief and despair mingling as he watches his heart disappear into the trees.
Don't get too comfortable, Fleabag. You and your mongrel friends are about to take a long trip.
Hope you're not prone to seasickness. Rascal snarls defiantly, even as a lead is clipped to his collar, and he's shoved roughly into the van. The doors slam with a terrible finality. Animal control truck, later. Rascal lies panting in a cramped cage, wounded in body and spirit. Around him, his packmates cower and whimper, nursing their own hurts.
Fine mess this is. Plucked from hearth and home like common criminals. Us, what's the world coming to, I ask you?
I'm scared, Rascal. Where are they taking us?
Now, it's like Chief always says. It's always darkest for the dawn. We'll get through this, long as we stick together. He cranes his neck, peering out through the cages. But there's no sign of Chief's grizzled visage. Where is the old boy? Anyone seen him? The others exchange stricken looks and head shakes. No one noticed the wise patriarch slipping away in the chaos. A pall of fear settles. Suddenly, the van screeches to a halt, sending the cages skidding. Doors open and rough hands reach in, dragging the dogs out and chaining them to posts in a bleak concrete courtyard. They huddle together, quaking as they take in their grim surroundings. That agent said something about a long trip. Called us mongrels. Can't be any place good, that's for darn sure. More armed agents herd other cowering street dogs into the yard, chaining them alongside Rascal's pack. A Doberman with a scarred muzzle catches Rascal's eye. Hey, brother. What is this place? Where are they taking us?
Only one place they send dogs like us, mutt. The meat ships to Vietnam. One-way trip into the cooking pots.
A gasp of horror ripples through the captive dogs. Rascal reels, his worst fears confirmed. He twists in his chains, wild to escape, to find Lottie before it's too late. This can't be happening. It can't. I promised her. I promised I'd find her. But no amount of scrabbling can loose his bonds. As despair rises to choke him, his last sight before the van doors slam is the sliver of golden trees beyond the compound fence. And Lottie, lost somewhere in that wild wood. City streets, day. Lottie limps down an alley, ribs heaving with exhaustion. Muddy, bedraggled, eyes haunted by the horrors she's witnessed. She's a shell of the happy hound who once romped through the green fields of home. Every inch the abandoned stray, she noses through piles of refuse, scavenging measly scraps to sate her gnawing hunger. She pauses to scratch viciously at her matted fur, wincing as her nails rake over inflamed flea bites and oozing sores. The hard streets have not been kind. But worst of all is the ache in her heart. The grief and loss and loneliness that dog her every step. Tears cut through the grime on her muzzle.
Oh, my darling, where are you? I can't do this alone. I'm not strong like you.
She slumps behind a dumpster, shivering as a cold rain begins to patter from the leaden sky. Tucking her nose under her paw, she surrenders to numbing sleep. City streets. Later, Lottie jerks awake to an insistent nudging at her flank. She raises a bleary head to see a concerned furry face peering down at her. It's a scruffy mutt with kind eyes. Patches, more patchwork than Pup with his bald spots and motley coat.
Easy there, Missy. Didn't mean to spook you. Just looked like you could use a helping paw is all.
I'm beyond help, friend, but I thank you for the thought.
Lottie struggles to stand, but her paws tremble and give way beneath her. She collapses with a whimper. Patches noses her gently.
Now don't you fret, little bit. Old Patches knows a place we can hole up, get you fixed up right as rain.
You're very kind. Too kind to waste your time on a lost cause like me.
Patches just chuckles, already shouldering himself under Lottie's frail body, hoisting her up. She leans on him heavily as they limp into the alley.
Ain't no such thing as a lost cause, Missy. You just gotta have a little faith. The way I see it, if you're still sucking air, you got hope.
Off Lottie's skeptical look.
Hey, I'm living proof. Used to be a ratter down at the docks till I got too old and slow for the job.
Thought I was done for. Out on my tail with nothing but fleas and an empty belly. But that's when I met my guardian angel, a fellow by the name of Hawkins.
Hawkins? The dock dog?
No, Missy! Hawkins the human. See, he runs this little soup kitchen down on Bleecker.
As Patches leads her on through the twisting alleys, regaling her with his tale, a faint light of hope kindles in Lottie's eyes. Perhaps there are still pockets of kindness in this dark, cruel world. And perhaps, just perhaps, her own guardian angel is out there even now, fighting his way back to her. Cargo dock, night. A rusting freighter looms against the moon-silvered sky, ominous as a crouching beast. Floodlights slice across the oil-slick waters, illuminating huddled groups of agents and wharf workers. Alongside the ship, more dogs than can be counted cower in crude cages, stacked high like cordwood. Their piteous whines and howls rise into the night. At the edge of the chaos, a battered animal control van disgorges its own wretched cargo. Rascal and his pack stumble onto the docks, chained and driven forward by cudgel-wielding agents. All right. We're moving. You don't have to...
Shut your trap, mutt. Save it for the cookpots.
Rascal subsides into a murderous glower. As the pack is shoved towards the waiting cages, as he casts a desperate glance over his shoulder at the weeping night and the distant woods that swallowed Lottie. I'm coming, Lottie. No matter what it takes, no matter how far, I'll find my way back to you. I swear it on all I hold dear. Suddenly, a booming bar cuts through the cacophony. All eyes snap to the commotion. An enormous mastiff, on scarred, shackled paws, snarls at the agents menacing his cage. He is battle-worn but unbroken, as the very picture of indomitable strength.
You lot think you're so brave, with your sticks and your cuffs, but real courage is standing for something greater than yourself.
He lunges at the bars, teeth bared. The agents fall back.
Every last one of us true hearts would rather die fighting than go like lambs to your slaughter.
Mutters and growls of assent rumble through the cages. The agents look uneasy, gripping their cudgels tighter. Even Rascal feels a thrill of grim approval. But then the crowd parts, an imperious figure strides forth. A sleek Doberman.
I've got the world on top of me, weighing down so heavily. Gonna fall eventually. There's no defying gravity.
He oozes oily menace.
Is that so, soldier boy? We'll see how defiant you are after a few weeks at sea with no chow.
Amazing how an empty belly changes a dog's tune. The mastiff just glares balefully. The Doberman turns to the other agents. Jean.
Load this rabble up. We're shoving off with the tide.
The agents leap to obey. One by one, the cages clang shut on their furry prisoners, so the door of hope slamming on Rascal's muzzle. As the ship's deep horn blares like a death knell, freighter hold, night, a squalid, dimly lit cargo bay packed with cages. Hundreds of dogs huddle in the fetid gloom, hollow-eyed and hopeless. The occasional weak bark or whimper cuts the thick air. In one of the cages, Rascal sits heavily, his once bright eyes dulled by shock and sorrow. Around him, Buster, Scout, and the other pack members vie for space, panting in the sweltering heat.
Never thought I'd be leaving this world in a tin can, stacked up with a bunch of other discards.
I'm so hungry, I can't even think straight. What are we gonna do, Rascal? For now, we're gonna stay alive, keep our strength up, and our wits sharp. He casts a meaningful look at the other prisoners. And we're gonna look out for each other, you hear? These poor wretches. They're our pack now too, eh? In it together? Buster huffs skeptically. Rascal silences him with a hard stare. I mean it, Buster. All of us, we're all each other's got now. His voice cracks, and he glances away, overcome. His pack presses closer in wordless comfort. Even Buster softens. In the next cage over, an emaciated spaniel who was listening perks up her grimy ears. She pokes her muzzle through the bars.
Excuse me, mister. But did you say we ought to stick together?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. Ain't no other way we're gonna make it to, well, wherever it is we're headed. The spaniel's eyes brim with tentative hope.
My heavens. And here I thought I'd fallen into a nest of every dog for himself. Pleased to make your acquaintance, mister?
Name's Rascal. This here's Buster and Scout. We're all that's left of our little family. Glancing around at his fellow prisoners. How about the rest of you? What's your stories? The dogs look around shyly, hesitant to speak. Then a grizzled old sheepdog clears his throat.
I'm Gus. Was a farm dog till the bank took the place. Handed over to the pound to decrease liabilities, they said.
A soulful beagle chimes in.
Miss Molly, once upon a time, supposed to be a hunting dog but didn't have the nose for it. One too many missed birds and, whelp, here I am.
A one-eared boxer whines sadly.
I was Max. A fighter till I got too old and slow to win. Boss didn't want to waste the kibble on me no more after that.
One by one, the dogs open up, sharing their names and histories. Abandoned, discarded, deemed worthless for one arbitrary reason or another. As they talk, a sense of unity begins to form. Fellow sufferers, rejected but resilient. Rascal listens gravely to their stories. Only the mastiff from the docks remains stoically silent. But when Rascal meets his eyes, he gives a curtain anon of camaraderie. Well, I'll tell you what, friends. I ain't planning on being nobody's chow. And I don't reckon y'all are neither. Murmurs of assent, a rekindling of dogged determination. So I say we put our heads together, sniff out every last scrap of info we can. These yahoos can't keep us in the dark forever. We'll figure out where we're headed, and then... He pauses, eyes hard as flint. And then we're gonna find a way out of this mess. I don't care what it takes. I made a promise to my Lottie I'd find my way back to her. And I mean to keep it. He pins them all with a fierce gaze, willing them to believe. Oh, so who's with me? For a beat, silence. Then, incredibly, the mastiff throws back his enormous head and laughs. A deep, booming guffaw.
Well, paint me yellow and call me a taxi cab. I knew I smelled true grit on you, boy.
He thrusts a giant paw through the bars. Rascal clasps it, bemused but game.
Name's Sarge. I'd be proud to raise a little cane alongside a cur like you.
One by one, the other dogs crowd forward to place their paws on the growing pile, a solemn covenant. Last to join is Buster, his craggy face softening into a reluctant smile. All right then. Let's get to snooping and make us a plan. Sarge, you seem like a stand-up fella. Keep an eye out portside, scope the crew. Buster, Scout, You cover starboard, ah? Miss Molly, Gus, Max, you'll work the hounds amidships. I want to know every creaky board and loose bolt on this tub. The ragtag rebels throw themselves into their tasks with a will, despair alchemizing into determination under Rascal's leadership. A few still look uncertain, but there's a lightening of the gloom, a crackle of purpose in the stagnant air. As Rascal settles down to rest, conserving his energy for the trials ahead, he pillows his head on his paws and closes his eyes. Lottie's sweet face dances behind his lids. Just hang on a little longer, baby. Even if I have to rip this scow apart rivet by rivet, I will get back to you. Bleecker Streety, Manhattan, Daya. Day. Patches leads Lottie down a gritty sidewalk, her paw steps strengthening with each passing block. Though her coat is still dull and her bones jut sharply beneath, a faint bloom of health colours her cheeks and brightens her eyes.
Ain't much further now, Missy. I reckon you're gonna love Hawkins and his crew. Salt of the earth, every last one.
I can't wait to meet this human of yours. From the way you talk about him, he's halfway to a saint.
Patches barks a laugh as he guides her around a trash bin.
I don't know about sainthood, but I'll tell you one thing. That man's got a heart big as all Manhattan. Wouldn't be here jawing with you now if he hadn't scooped me out of the gutter and fattened me up. He calls me his old gentleman, if you can believe it.
Patches mimes a courtly bow. Lottie giggles, then grows thoughtful.
Imagine that. A human going out of his way to help a poor cast-off like us. It's more kindness than I thought was still in this world.
Aw, now. Don't you go getting all misty on me. Ain't nothing special about a body doing his civic duty. Fact is, I don't truck with all this highfalutin dog is man's best friend malarkey. Way Hawkins sees it, and I agree. We're all just folks trying to get by as best we can.
Patches nudges a wandering Lottie along, turning down a narrow alley crowded with rubbish.
You'll see what I mean when...
Well, I'll be... Lottie follows his gaze to see a furtive figure rooting through the junk. A mangy, emaciated dog, more skin and bones than canine. She freezes when she sees them, clearly torn between terror and hunger.
Oh, you poor little thing, you look half-starved.
She starts toward the stray, but Patches throws out a paw to stop her.
Easy, Lottie, let me.
He edges forward, body language unthreatening.
Hi there, bitty bit. Ain't no need to be scared now. My name's Patches, and this here's my friend, Miss Lottie.
The stray trembles, but doesn't bolt. And Patches eases closer.
We're on our way to visit another friend, a real nice fella named Hawkins. He's got a soup kitchen right around the corner, chock full of tasty scraps for hungry pups like you.
The stray's ears prick up warily at that. Patches chuckles.
Yep, you heard me right. What do you say you come along, get a little meat on them bones? Bet we can even rustle you up a warm bed for the night.
Lottie watches in amazement as Patches sweet-talks the nervous dog, drawing her out inch by inch until she's nosing hopefully at his flank.
There's a good girl. Come on now. Let's get you some chow.
As he leads the way out of the alley, the stray tucked protectively between him and Lottie, she marvels at his seemingly effortless compassion.
How did you do that? Get her to trust you so quickly?
Lots of practice, Missy. These alleys are full of lost souls needing a helping paw. You spend enough time down here, you learn there's always room for one more at the table.
I never really thought about it that way. All those dogs out there just like us.
Yup. And every one of them is some mama's baby.
Way I figure the good Lord didn't put us here to be stingy with our love. Gotta share it around best we can. As the unlikely trio rounds the corner, a warm light spills out of a battered doorway. A crooked sign reads Hawkins' Kitchen, and the rich scent of stew wafts on the air.
Welp, here we are! Grubs on, girls! Let's go get us some!
Lottie pauses, overcome with gratitude for this scruffy mutt and his hard-won wisdom. As Patches shepherds the stray through the door, Lottie vows silently to take his example to heart. To always make room for me, so Kate. Squaring her shoulders, she follows her new pack inside. Time to meet the human behind the hound. Freighter galley. Night. Rascal slinks along a dimly lit corridor, ears straining for the slightest sound of discovery. Buster and Scout creep at his flank, eyes wide in the flickering red emergency lights. Are you sure about this, Rascal? Maybe we should just stay put till Rascal? Till what, Scout? Till the cook fires up his pots. No dice. Sarge's source says this is our only shot. They inch their way through the bowels of the ship, or dodging swaying shadows and creaking pipes. The sounds of carousing crew echo faintly from above decks, revelry cloaking their clandestine mission.
So what exactly is this grand plan again? 'Cause I gotta tell ya, I'm not feeling too rosy about our odds here.
Rascal doesn't break stride, but his whisper is steely with resolve. It's simple. Sarge overheard the crew talking about Cesson. An escape raft stashed down here somewhere. All we gotta do is find it. Wait. Or we make port in Hanoi tomorrow. And then skedaddle while they're busy unloading us.
Oh, is that all? Piece of kibble.
And once we make our daring escape, what then? We just click our heels and wind up back in Kansas. Rascal rounds on him, a snarl curling his lip. You want to stay and be Sunday dinner, be my guest? But I made a promise I aim to keep. So stow that chewed and keep your peepers peeled, unless you want a matching set of shiners to go with it. Buster subsides, chastened. They forge on in tense silence until Scout, ranging a bit ahead, lets out a muffled yelp.
Guys, over here! I think this is it!
Rascal and Buster scramble to join him at a small hatch set into the wall.
It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day.
Stenciled above in flaking paint are the words "Emergency Raft." Rascal grins, fierce with triumph. Attaboy, Scout. I knew that sniffer of yours would come in handy.
Yeah, the kid's a regular rescue rover. But how the heck are we supposed to get this tin can open?
Rascal examines the wheel lock, mind racing. His eyes land on an abandoned pile of deck equipment. Frayed ropes, cleats, hooks. Buster, grab me that crowbar. Scout, chew through that rope and bring it here. I've got an idea. Minutes later, a makeshift pulley system has been rigged around the hatch wheel. Rascal grips the end of the rope in his teeth as Buster jams the crowbar into the locking mechanism for leverage. All right, boys. On 3. 1, 2. With his next words, Rascal heaves on the rope. The wheel creaks, the metal groaning. And slowly, painstakingly, the hatch starts to turn. Buster digs his paws in, straining against the stubborn lock. Veins bulge in Rascal's neck as he pulls with all his might. Even Scout throws his meager weight into the effort, shoving the crowbar for all he's worth. Just when it seems the door will never budge, the wheel gives a sudden shriek and spins freely. The hatch springs open with a rusty squeal, and a trio of panting, triumphant dogs tumble over each other into raft compartment. Rascal blinks, hardly daring to believe their luck. There, lashed to the bulkhead, is a bright orange rubber raft. Freedom in nylon and neoprene.
Well, I'll be a muddy pup. Ah,
Boys, we just punched our ticket out of this floating abattoir. Wait till the others see this baby.
reckon it'll fit all of us. I count maybe 15, 20 dogs we're breaking out.
It'll be tight, but we'll manage. We don't need elbow room, just a way off this death trap. Suddenly, Scout stiffens, nose twitching.
Fellas, I smell...
A slow clap cuts him off. The boys whirl to see a hulking shadow filling the hatch. The shadow steps into the compartment, revealing the sneering face of the Doberman agent. Doberman.
Well, well. Looks like we've got a few bilge rats that need exterminating.
He reaches slowly for the pistol at his hip. Rascal tenses, poised to spring. Buster and Scout press close at his flanks, growling low in their throats. The standoff stretches, a razor's edge moment.
You really thought you could steal my ship out from under me, mutts? Time you learned how things work in the real world.
In one fluid movement, he whips out the gun and takes aim at Rascal's forehead. His finger tightens on the trigger, and a massive dark blur slams into him from the side, sending the pistol skittering. Rascal blinks. The Doberman is pinned under a snarling wall of muscle, scrabbling uselessly at the unbreakable chokehold around his throat. It's Sarge.
Rascal, the gun, kick it here.
Rascal lunges for the fallen pistol. One hard swipe of his paw sends it spinning across the deck to land at Sarge's feet. In a flash, the Mastiff has the Doberman in an arm lock, gun pressed to his head. He bares his teeth in the agent's face.
Not so untouchable now, are you, punk?
Get those ropes. We'll truss this hump up and stow him in a cage. See how he likes it. The Doberman squirms impotently, hogtied on the deck. Sarge stands over him, gun still trained as Rascal, Buster and Scout work frantically to lash the raft in place. Sarge, I owe you one. I thought for sure that louse was gonna clock us.
Oh, you had him right where you wanted him.
But we're not out of the weeds yet. We still gotta get the rest of the gang down here and make it to shore in one piece.
Yeah, and with old Slick they're taken care of, it should be smooth.
You stupid hounds. Did you really think I came down here alone? My men are already on their way. You'll all be back in your cages in minutes.
Sarge, get the others. We'll finish up here. Chapter 2. Sarge nods curtly and bounds off through the hatch, shouting for the rest of the mutts. Rascal, Buster and Scout work at a frenzied pace, hearts pounding in time with the blaring alarms. Chaos. Barking, snarling dogs surge into the tiny space as agents pound after them. Sarge defends the bottleneck, fangs flashing and gun barking.
Everybody in, go, go, go!
The raft is a confusion of flailing limbs and trodden paws as panicked poochers pile in. Rascal and his boys shove with all their might, wedging the last few stowaways into the yawning maw of the hatch. Sarge! Come on! We got to move! Sarge backpedals, laying down a covering fire. At the last second, he hurls himself into the raft onto the snapping tangle of dodges.
Hit it, Rascal.
Rascal slams his full weight onto the emergency release lever. With an explosive whoomp, the raft blasts through the torn hatch and out into the night, somewhere in the East Sea. Night. Wind howls, whipping the tossing rubber cocoon. Frigid spray stings Rascal's face as he clings to the pitching raft, packed in with his fellow fugitives. Overhead, lightning forks across the sky. Behind us, the freighter lists dangerously, flames licking from the deck. Dark shapes leap into the churning waves, the faint sound of human screams snatched away by the gale.
Where to, kid? I got no clue which way is up in this blow.
The shore. We've got to make the shore. If this squall drags us out to open water, where but even as he says it, a towering swell rears Uwasam, blotting out the sky. It hangs suspended for a breathless moment, a liquid mountain poised to crush them. Then it crashes down in an explosion of frigid foam, flipping the raft like a leaf in a hurricane. Rascal feels the floor drop out from under him, a sickening sensation of weightlessness. Unknown beach, dawn. A pinkening sky. Gentle waves lap at a curving crescent of white sand. Gradually, we become aware of prone shapes dotting the beach, motionless in the gathering light. One of the shapes stirs. A brine-encrusted muzzle twitches, cracks open in a groan. It's Rascal. He raises his head weakly, squinting against the stabbing brightness. Every muscle aches. Every joint protests as he drags himself to his paws. Burbuster. Scout. Guys. A faint whine answers him. He staggers over to a waterlogged lump. It's Scout, battered but alive. Further down the beach, more dogs start to rouse, whimpering and taking stock of injuries. Scout, you okay? Anything broken? Scout takes a moment to stretch experimentally.
I think I'm all right. Just feel like I went around with a meat tenderizer.
They scan the beach anxiously. No sign of Buster or Sarge. But as they watch, a massive shape lumbers out of the surf, dragging something clenched in its jaws. It's the Mastiff. And clutched in his teeth is the limp form of Buster. Buster! Sarge, is he?
He's breathing. Dragged him out of the drink, but he must have took a wallop to the noggin. Might be a while before he comes around.
Relief crashes through Rascal, leaving him light-headed. He noses at his friend, confirming the shallow rise and fall of his chest. Thank dog. I thought for sure we'd lost him. I owe you another one, big guy. Sarge just shrugs, already moving off to check on the others. One by one, the ragged refugees drag themselves ashore, a hapless posse of castaways.
What? Where are we?
Rascal turns to see Buster blinking groggily up at him. He breaks into a grin, barking with sheer thankful joy. Buddy! You gave us a scare. How many toes am I holding up?
Get off of me, you loon! I'm seeing double of your ugly mug already.
Rascal's grin just widens. If Buster's well enough to grouch, he's gonna be just fine. Suddenly, a strident voice cuts through the relieved chatter. It's Gus the sheepdog.
Oi, anybody seen Molly and Max? I can't spot them anywhere.
Rascal's gut clenches. Now he scans the bedraggled group frantically, hoping against hope to pick out the spaniel and beagle among the briny fur and sand-caked snouts. But all he sees are gaps, empty spaces where packmates should be.
They didn't make it, Gus. Saw them both go under when the big one hit. Tried to fish them out, but...
Sea was too rough. A pall settles over the group. They're free, but at a cost. Heads hang, tails droop as the weight of their losses sinks in. Rascal swallows hard, trying to rally. They can't stop now. Not after coming so far. Come on, everybody. Molly and Max. They wouldn't want us moping about. We gotta keep moving. For them, and for us. Sarge meets his eye, sad but approving. The others start to rouse, a new determination kindling in their eyes. They've come this far. They'll keep going, for the ones who can't. All right, troops, let's say a prayer for our fall, and then we've got some ground to cover. The dogs gather together, one mass of matted fur and weary hearts. As the sun breaches the horizon, they turn their faces to the warmth and step forward into an uncertain future. Streets of Hanoi. Day. Damp, close and sweltering. Motorbikes buzz through crowded alleyways where mangy dogs scrap over rubbish. The sour tang of refuse mingles with the savoury scent of cooking meat. Rascal pads warily down the narrow street, senses on high alert. His pack fans out behind him, sticking close together in the alien surroundings. Buster whines.
I don't like this, kid. We stick out like sore paws here.
Shh. Let me do the talking. Up ahead, an old mongrel picks through a bin. Rascal approaches cautiously, dipping his head in greeting. "'Scuse me there, friend. I wonder if you could help us out. We're, new in town." The mutt raises a grizzled head, one eye milky with age. He gives the pack a long, assessing look.
"You looking for Nguion's warehouse, ain't you? Figures all you foreign dogs end up there eventually."
Rascal exchanges a confused glance with Buster. No. I think there's been a mix-up. We're not."
"New meat, all right."
Jerking his muzzle down a side street. 2 blocks that way, turn left. Can't miss it. Biggest butcher shop in Hanoi. A chill runs down Rascal's spine. Butcher shop? I'm sorry. I don't... The mongrel cuts him off with a hacking laugh.
"I know what you are, boy. Seen plenty of your kind come through. Meaty western pups, ripe for the cleaver. Them's the breaks. Get along now. Nguion don't like to be kept waiting."
The mongrel turns back to his bin. Clearly done with them. Rascal backs away slowly, ice trickling through his veins. He turns to his pack, seeing his own dawning dread mirrored on their faces. This can't be happening. Not after all they survived to get here.
You don't think this Nguion fella, he's not really gonna...
Ain't no use sugarcoating it. We all know what they do to dogs here.
What do we do, Rascal? We can't let him chop us up for chow mein.
Rascal hesitates, mind racing. Every instinct screams to turn tail and run. But where? They're strangers in a strange land, with no idea who to trust or where to hide. In the end, there's only one thing he's certain of. This pack is his responsibility. No matter what. Slowly, his posture shifts. Back straightening, head held high. A leader ready to face the unthinkable. We'll do what we have to. Same as always. All in. One by one, the others lay their paws atop his. A silent vow to the end of the line. As they pad grimly towards their fate, we, in Hawkins' soup kitchen day. Lottie stands shoulder to shoulder with Patches and their new friend, now christened Bitsy. ladling steaming stew into chip bowls. The queue of hungry strays stretches out the door and down the block.
I ain't never seen so many dogs in one place. Except maybe the pound, but this sure don't feel like no pound.
Lottie smiles, passing a bowl to a grateful old boxer.
That's 'cause it's not sugar, it's a place of hope, not fear.
She's right, Bits. Hawkins built this place to be a port in the storm, a safe harbor for all us lost souls.
He winks down at the pup, who grins shyly back. Just then, a brusque voice cuts through the bustle.
Order up. Patches, give me a pour with this pot, would you?
Patches perks up, tail wagging. Hawkins strides into view, a grizzled, wiry man in a sauce-stained apron. Though careworn, his face is kind, smile lines webbing the corners of his eyes.
Sure thing, boss. Let me at it.
He takes the hefty pot handle gently in his teeth, muscles bunching as he hauls it to the serving station. Hawkins chuckles, giving him a rough pat.
Attaboy, Patches. Dunno what I'd do without you, you old mutt.
Patches leans into the caress, tongue lolling in a happy grin. Lottie watches the easy rapport between man and dog, a wistful piercing her chest.
I used to have a human like that. 2, actually. They loved me like Hawkins loves Patches. I'd have done anything for them.
Why'd you leave him then?
Lottie sighs, a faraway look in her eye.
I didn't, sweetheart. Not by choice. They left me. Guess I just wasn't enough anymore.
Bitsy whines sympathetically, nosing at her flank. Lottie shakes herself mentally, pasting on a smile.
But that's in the past. I've got a new family now, Patches and Hawkins. And you.
She licks Bitsy's ear, prompting a giggle. Just then, Patches returns, a strange light in his eye.
Girls, y'all ain't gonna believe what I just heard.
Off their quizzical looks.
One of the newbies' scraggly-looking terrier? He's saying he escaped from a meat truck out of Saigon. Swears up on down it was headed to Hanoi. Packed full of Western pups for the chop block.
Lottie stiffens, an electric thrill zinging down her spine.
What? What kind of dogs exactly?
All kinds. Way he tells it. Skins, shepherds, even a mastiff or 2. Regular League of Nations.
And did he say, was there a mutt? Gray and scruffy, with a notch in one ear?
Now that you mention it. Yeah, he said something about a tough little mongrel, name of Rascal. Kind of the ringleader type.
The world grays out at the edges. The blood pounds in Lottie's ears as the impossible truth sinks in. Rascal. Her. Rascal. Alive. But in mortal danger. Half a world away and on the knife's edge of disaster. She doesn't remember bolting for the door. Doesn't process Patches' confused shouts or Bitsy's frightened yelp. All she knows is the pavement beneath her flying paws, the roaring imperative to run. As she pounds through the unheeding city crowds, a single thought pulses through her like a drumbeat. I'm coming, my love. Hold on. I'll find you. Even if I have to tear apart the world to do it. I'm coming. Nguion's warehouse. Dusk. The warehouse hulks against a blood-red sky, ominous and impenetrable as a prison. Armed guards patrol the barbed perimeter, snarling dogs straining at their leads. At the gate, Rascal stands flanked by Buster, Scout, Sarge, and the others. Head high, eyes blazing defiance, even as a choke chain noose drops over his head. He doesn't flinch as it tightens, cutting into his airway. The guards bark harsh laughter, hauling the pack through the checkpoint and into the stinking balls of the slaughterhouse. They stumble down a maze of dank corridors, squinting in the low light. The sickening stench of blood and entrails clogs the air. From all around, the condemned wails of imprisoned dogs echo off the damp walls. A chorus of despair. At last, they fetch up in a cavernous holding pen, rusty bars soaring to the distant ceiling. The guards shove them roughly inside, chains clanking as the door slams with a sepulchral boom. For a moment, the pack simply huddles together, shaken with residual terror. And then, slowly, Rascal raises his head. His eyes glint in the murky light, bright with grim determination. Listen up, everybody. I know things look bad. Heck, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared stiff. Around him, the others shift and mutter, pressing closer. But we ain't done. Not by a long shot. We didn't make it this far just to lay down and die at the first hurdle.
I don't know, kid. This ain't no hurdle. It's a mortuary with a buffet line.
Rascal rounds on him, teeth flashing. No, I refuse to believe that. There's gotta be a way out of this pit. And we're gonna find it. Scout noses timidly under Rascal's foreleg, seeking reassurance.
How, Rascal? There's guards everywhere, and the cats prowling the perimeter. They'd be on us in a hot second.
Rascal softens, dropping his muzzle to Scout's trembling flank. I ain't got all the answers, bud. But I know one thing. We didn't survive that trip just to wind up as the Blue Plate Special. He raises his head, voice thrumming with conviction. I made a promise. To my Lottie, to all of you, that I'd find us a way home. And a way home is what I mean to find, come hell or high water.
The mutt's right. I didn't haul tail out of that tub just to kick it in this two-bit abattoir. I'm with you, Rascal, to the end of the line.
One by one, the others chime in. Weak assent at first, but with gathering strength.
Ah, what the heck. Always did fancy going out in a blaze of glory.
He bumps shoulders with Rascal, the gesture speaking volumes. Rascal grins back, something easing in his chest. All right then, let's get to skimming. I don't know about you lot, but I ain't in any rush to be kibble. As the pack huddles up, tossing out desperate ideas and half-baked plans, we slowly fade out Hanoi waterfront, night. Lottie pads along the foggy quay, nose to the ground. Patches and Bitsy flank her, keeping watchful eyes on the shadows.
Miss Lottie, are you sure this is a good idea? This place gives me the heebies.
I know it's scary, Sugar. But if there's even a chance Rascal is here in the city, I've got to take it.
Sides, ain't a back alley in the world old Patches can't sniff out. We'll be in and out quicker than 2 shakes of a lamb's. He breaks off, hackles rising. A dark shape detaches from the gloom, resolving into the grizzled mongrel from the Hanoi streets.
What you snuffling round here for, Mutt? This here's my beat.
Lottie steps forward, radiating urgency.
Please, we don't want any trouble. We're just trying to find someone, a friend, taken by the meat traders.
The mongrel stiffens, eyes narrowing.
Meat traders, eh? What's it to you?
He's my mate, the love of my life, and he's in terrible danger. Please, if you know anything.
Let me give you some free advice, missy. Forget him. Ain't nothing you can do for a pup in Nguion's clutches, except say a prayer.
I can't accept that. I won't. He'd never stop looking for me, and I. The mongrel's face softens a fraction. He heaves a sigh.
This fella, he really means that much to you?
He's my everything.
A long, heavy beat. Then,
Warehouse is on the west side. Big ugly brick thing, can't miss it. But I'm warning you, you set one paw in there, you ain't likely to come out again.
Lottie sets her jaws, eyes flashing.
Then that's just a risk I'll have to take. Thank you. Truly.
The mongrel just grunts, already fading back into the shadows.
Love make fools of us all, girlie. Best of luck to you. You're gonna need it.
With that, he's gone. Lottie squares her shoulders, turning to Patches and Bitsy.
Well, you heard the man, mutt. West side it is.
Lots. You know I've always got your back. But this sounds like a one-way trip. How are the three of us going to spring your fella from an armed fortress?
We'll find a way. We have to. I'm not leaving this city without Rascal. And that's a promise.
Off Lottie's resolute expression, we slaughterhouse. Holding pen. Night. Buster paces the perimeter of the bars, panting heavily. The shadows under his eyes have deepened to craters, his steps dragging with exhaustion.
Come on, come on! There's got to be a weak spot somewhere. A chink in the armor.
Rascal watches him grimly, heart aching for his friend's despair. Around him, the rest of the pack has fallen into uneasy, fitful sleep, conserving what strength they can in preparation for whatever horrors dawn may bring. Buster. Give it a rest, pal. You've been at it for hours. Wearing yourself to the bone ain't gonna help us out of this pickle.
And I suppose you've got a better idea. 'Cause from where I'm standing, it looks like our goose is well and truly cooked.
Rascal flinches but holds his ground. I ain't giving up. Not now, not ever. But we gotta be smart about this. Keep our wits sharp and our eyes open for any opportunities. Suddenly, from the depths of the warehouse, a muffled commotion. Raised voices. Slamming doors. The pack startles awake, instantly alert. Rascal and Buster exchange a tense glance. Slowly, hackles rising, they creep towards the bars, peering out into the gloom. At first, nothing. Then, without warning, a dark shape comes barreling around the corner at breakneck speed. It flies past their cage in a blur of fur and stubby legs. It's the Doberman agent. Eyes wild with panic. It can't be. The Doberman crashes into a stack of crates, yelping in pain and fear. He scrabbles desperately in the debris, unaware of his slack-jawed audience.
Well, I'll be darned. Never thought I'd see that lowlife again. Leastaways, not on this side of a cell.
The mystery of the Doberman's reappearance is swiftly solved. Hot on his heels runs a veritable platoon of armed guards, batons and cattle prods at the ready.
Stop! Halt, you treacherous dog!
The Doberman whines piteously, cowering as the guards descend on him. Meaty hands seize his scruff. The crackle of electricity buzzes as a cattle prod jabs into his flank, and in that instant, Rascal makes his choice. Guard! Hey! Guard! Over here! Buster gapes at him like he's lost his mind. The guards freeze, caught off guard by the interruption. Our Rascal strains at the bars, eyes blazing. You want to talk treason? I've got a whole pack of rebel insurgents right here. Real threats to your operation? The guards hesitate, glancing between Rascal and the Doberman uncertainly. Rascal presses his advantage. What? You want to waste your time on that snivelling turncoat? We're the ones I should be worried about. Heck, we're hatching an escape plan right now. That does it. Oh, hold. The guards drop the mewling Doberman and storm over to the pen. Batons raise threateningly.
You. Bad dog. No talk, no plan.
They fumble with the lock, clearly intent on teaching this upstart a lesson. Rascal tenses, telegraphing a look at Buster. Buster blinks, then firms his jaw in understanding. The second the barred door swings open, all hell breaks loose. Now! The pack surges forward as one, a howling tide of furious fur that barrel into the guards, biting and clawing with wild abandon. Rascal leads the charge, going straight for the guard's throat. He clamps down hard, hot blood spurting into his mouth. Buster is a demon, all flashing teeth and slashing claws. Scout darts between stamping boots, nipping at exposed ankles. Even the Doberman joins the fray, desperation overriding his natural cowardice. In moments, it's over. The guards lay groaning and bleeding on the filthy floor, and the way out lies open and inviting. Panting hard, the pack stares at Rascal in awe. He grins around a muzzle stained crimson, eyes bright with battle fever. Like I said, I'm gonna get us home. Now let's blow this joint As the awestruck pack streams from the cage, yipping in disbelief and delight, we slaughterhouse. Perimeter. Moments later, alarms blare into the night. Floodlights sweeping the grounds in stark white slashes. Everywhere, booted feet pound the packed earth, harsh voices raised in angry pursuit. At the base of the outer wall, a small side gate hangs ajar, smashed open from the inside by desperate fleeing paws. Beyond it, shapes move in the shadows. Furtive and fast. Stick close and stay low. We can lose them in the alleys. He leads the way at a crouching run, his pack hard on his heels. They dart down the twisting back streets of Hanoi, adrenaline buzzing in their veins as the shouts of the guards slowly fade behind them.
I can't believe we actually pulled that off. I thought for sure we were kibble.
I told you I'd get us out, didn't I? I ain't about to let my pack down. Scout gives a nervous giggle, still hearts on their miraculous escape.
Golly, Rascal, the way you talk to those guards. You were just like a real alpha dog.
Rascal glances back, something complicated passing over his face. Nah, kid. I'm just a scrappy mutt lucky enough to have friends willing to fight for me.
Stow that kind of talk, soldier. You let us out of that pit. Ain't a dog here who'll forget that.
The others chime in with yips of agreement. Rascal ducks his head, moved beyond words. Just then, a sharp whistle pierces the night. The pack skids to a halt, instantly on guard.
They've found us. He scatter.
But Rascal stands his ground. Ears straining, that whistle? It almost sounded like, wait. Hold on, I think I know that call. Hardly daring to hope, he lifts his muzzle and barks out an answering whistle. For a heart-stopping beat, silence. Then faint, but unmistakable. An achingly familiar voice, raised in joyous reply.
Rascal.
Lottie! Lottie, I'm here! He bolts down the alleyway, his pack forgotten in the overwhelming need to reach that voice. He careens around corners, slides through gaps, running flat out. and slams headlong into a tearful, ecstatic Lottie, bowling them both over in a tangle of wagging tails and licking tongues.
Oh, darling, you're alive, you're safe, I can't believe I found you.
Laughing and crying all at once. Lottie, Lottie, my heart, my love, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd find me. They're lost in each other, drinking in the miracle of reunion. The pack catches up, skidding to a confused halt at the sight of this strange new dog wrapped around their leader. Chapter 3.
What in the name of kibble? Who's the dame?
Before Rascal can respond, Patches comes barreling out of the shadows.
It's all right, boys. She's with us.
Scout does a gleeful double take, all but vibrating with excitement.
Patches, boy, are we glad to see you.
As the pack swarms Patches, yipping greetings and demanding explanations, Rascal manages to detach himself from Lottie long enough to beam at his old friend. Patches, what? How did you find us? Not that I'm complaining, but...
Thank little Miss Lottie here. Once she got Nguion, her fella might be in trouble. There weren't no stopping her.
Rascal turns back to Lottie, eyes shining with love and wonder. You really came all this way, face down the meat mob, just to find me.
Oh, my darling, I'd have swum oceans and scaled mountains to get to you. You're my forever love.
Where you go, I go. They nuzzle rapturously, the rest of the world falling away. After a long, glorious moment.
Well, I'll be darned. Never thought I'd see the day Rascal settled down. But by dog, if this ain't true love, I don't know what is.
The others voice their agreement, tails wagging at this unexpected happy ending. But Rascal, suddenly pensive, steps away from Lottie to face his pack. No, I can't leave you fellas in the lurch. Not after all we've been through. I promised I'd get you home safe, and a promise made is a promise kept.
And so you shall, my darling. We'll all go together.
She looks to Patches and Bitsy, who have crept quietly into the fray.
Patches, Bitsy, what say you? Will you help us guide our friends to safety?
Patches straightens proudly, every inch the noble strider.
Miss Lottie, it would be my honor to escort this fine pack to sanctuary.
Sides, I've been itching for a nice long walk. Bitsy yips excitedly, practically vibrating with eagerness.
Ooh, yes. A real homebound adventure. Let's do it.
Rascal looks around at his friends, both old and new, and feels his heart swell to near bursting with love and gratitude. I don't rightly know what I did to deserve you lot, but I thank my lucky stars for each and every one of you. Lifting his head high. Now what do you say? We bid this two-bit town sayonara and head for greener pastures. A chorus of jubilant barks rings through the night. As the pack surges out of the alley and into the unknown, Rascal and Lottie leading the way side by side, we slowly... Open road. Day. A ragtag band of canines pads down a dusty highway, silhouetted against a paintbox sunrise. Lottie, Rascal, Buster, Scout, Patches, Bitsy, Sage, and the rest. All together, walking as one.
Wowie, what a week. Escapes and rescues and true love, oh my.
You said it, Bits. Reckon this little adventure will be a story for the grandpups someday.
They giggle together, young spirits bright and unbowed. Further ahead, Rascal and Lottie walk flank to flank, tails twined. I still can't hardly believe it. That you came for me. That we found each other again. Lottie leans into him, fitting together like two puzzle pieces long separated.
Believe it, my love, this is real, and it's forever.
Rascal sighs contentedly. They walk in blissful silence for a spell, drinking in the miracle of togetherness. Then, you know, we still don't rightly have a home to head to. The farm, our friends.
Home isn't a place, darling. It's the souls who make a life worth living. And the way I see it, we've got all the home we need right here.
She casts a fond look back at their patchwork family, scampering and laughing in the rosy dawn light. You know what? You're right. This right here. This is all I could ever ask for. They walk in contented silence, marveling at the road that led them to this moment. Countryside, day. Green hills roll gently into the distance, a patchwork of wildflower meadows and shady copses. The pack ambles easily down the dirt path, enjoying the warm sun on their backs and the soft breeze ruffling their fur. Smell that country air. Sure beats the Hanoi back alleys, eh?
You said it, kid. Nothing like the open road and a bunch of good pals to share it with.
Scout and Bitsy romp ahead, playfully tumbling in the long grass. Buster and Sarge trade war stories, bonded brothers in arms. The rest of the pack mingle and meld, no longer strays but a tight-knit family. Suddenly, Lottie pauses, ears perked. Rascal slows beside her, instantly alert. What is it, love? Trouble?
No, I thought I heard.
And then, clear as a bell, a distant bark, achingly familiar. Rascal and Lottie snap towards the sound, hardly daring to hope. Is that?
Finn.
She bounds off the path and up the hill, Rascal hot on her heels. The rest of the pack exchanges startled looks before charging after them.
Hey, wait up! Who the heck is Finn?
But Rascal and Lottie are oblivious, cresting the hill at a flat-out sprint. They skid to a halt at the top, gasping at the sight that greets them. There, in the valley below, is the farm. Their farm, just as they left it. The old barn, the cozy farmhouse, the rolling green fields, and tearing across those fields like a ginger streak, barking ecstatically, is Finn, their beloved son, the beating heart they thought lost forever.
Oh, my baby, my precious pup.
She takes off down the hill, Rascal only a beat behind. They race across the grass, closing the distance until... wham! Finn slams into them at full speed, knocking them head over tail in a whirlwind of laughter and tears.
Mom, Dad, you're here, you're back. I missed you so much. I thought I'd never see you again. I love you. I love you, I love you.
He wriggles deliriously between them, covering their faces with frantic puppy kisses. Rascal and Lottie return the affection tenfold, nuzzling and nosing every inch of their precious boy. We're here, son. We're home. And we are never, ever leaving you again. The rest of the pack comes pouring down the hill, yipping and barking in confusion and excitement. Finn jumps up to greet them, tail wagging a mile a minute.
Wow, are you friends of Mom and Dad's? Did you help them find their way home?
We sure did! We've been on a grand adventure together!
The youngsters immediately fall into animated chatter, regaling each other with the trials and triumphs of their incredible journey. The adult dogs look on fondly amazed at how far they've come. Suddenly, a whistle from the farmhouse porch. They turn as one to see Chief, gazing at them with a mixture of wonder and delight.
Chief, that you old warhorse.
In the flesh. Though I hardly believed my eyes, I thought for sure we'd seen the last of you lot.
The pack swarms him with yips of joy, tails wagging frantically. Chief, what? How did you make it out? We thought for sure the Razorbacks had gotten you.
Oh, those two-bit thugs. They couldn't catch a cold, let alone a canny old cuss like me.
Growing serious. I've been keeping the home fires burning, waiting and hoping for the day my family would find their way back. And now, here you are. He gazes around at them all, eyes suspiciously misty. Lottie leans into his side, nuzzling him lovingly.
We're home, Chief, all of us together again, just as it should be.
And this is where we'll stay. No more running, no more searching. This is our place. And we'll never let anyone take it from us again. The pack rumbles their agreement, tails wagging. They've found where they belong at last.
Well, I reckon this is where we say our goodbyes. Can't tell you how grateful I am to have shared this trail with ya. But a wandering soul's gotta wander.
Bitsy whines plaintively, butting her head against his flank.
Oh, Patches, do we got to go? I like it here with our friends.
Patches chuckles fondly, giving her a gentle headbutt.
Now, Bits, you know we ain't cut out for farm living. The road's in our blood.
But we'll be back around to visit. Don't you worry none. Ain't so easy to shake us off now. Rascal grips Patches' paw, eyes warm with gratitude. Patches, I don't rightly know how to thank you for everything you've done, for being there when we needed you most.
Stow that mush, kid. Y'all would have done the same for me, and don't I know it.
With a final round of nuzzles and fond farewells, Patches and Bitsy take their leave, ambling off down the long driveway with a spring in their steps and a song in their hearts.
There go two of the finest rovers I've ever had the pleasure to meet. May their paths always lead.
Right where they need to be, wrapping his paw around Lottie's. If they're half as lucky in their wandering as we've been in ours, I reckon those two will be just fine, nuzzling him tenderly.
Luck's got nothing to do with it, love. We made it, because we had each other.
She looks around at her beautiful patchwork patak, heart near to bursting with joy. Rascal follows her gaze, wonder and gratitude shining in his eyes. Fin wriggling between them.
And now we'll always be together, right? No matter what.
You better believe it, buddy. Wild horses couldn't drag us apart. And that's a promise. The family huddles together, watching the sun sink toss low over their green, rolling sanctuary. The trials of the past melt away in the golden light of a new beginning. Hard won, fiercely protected, and deeply cherished. Farmhouse porch, night. The porch is festooned with glittering fireflies, their soft glow mingling with the battery lights spilling from the farmhouse windows. The night air is alive with the tranquil sounds of cicadas and the distant hoots of a wise old owl. On the porch steps, curled together in an indistinguishable pile of contentment, are our dogs. Rankle, Lottie, Finn, Buster, Scout, Sarge, and all the rest. One big, happy family, safe and sound at last. Rascal lies in the middle of the furry jumble, a Lottie nestled under his chin, and Finn sprawled blissfully across their backs. His eyes are distant, reflective, you know. If you'd told me a year ago that I'd end up here, that I'd face down gangsters and cages and an ocean of hurt, just to wind up the luckiest dog alive, shaking his head, I would have said you were crazy. Lottie lifts her head to gaze at him, eyes lambent with love.
Funny how life leads us down paths we never could have dreamed, isn't it? All those twists and turns, leading us right where we were meant to be all along.
Finn yawns contentedly between them, snuggling deeper into their warmth.
I'm just glad you found your way home. I don't know what I would have done if...
His little voice wobbles precariously. Rascal noses him tenderly, Lottie licking the top of his head. Hey now. None of that. We're here. We're together. And that's all that matters. Everything we did, all that we went through, we did it for you, kiddo. To get back to you. Buster huffs a wry chuckle from his sprawl on the bottom step.
And here I thought we were just along for the kibble.
The pack dissolves into soft laughter, tails wagging lazily. As the mirth subsides, a pensive hush falls. Scout is the first to break it.
Do you think they're watching us now? Molly, Max, all the ones who didn't make it? Do you think...
Maybe they're the reason we did. Sarge hunkers down beside Hips, battle-scarred, muzzle gentling.
I'd stake my stripes on it, boyo. The ones we lose. They never really leave us. And I'll bet my bottom biscuit those two are smiling down on us right now, happy as clams to see us all home safe.
To Molly and Max, the best of us, may they run forever free beyond the sky. The pack lifts their heads in a solemn howl, pouring their love and remembrance into the star-pricked night. As the last notes fade into the velvet darkness.
All right, that's enough sappiness for one night. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
Cocking an eyebrow.
Oh, yeah. And what's on the docket for our first full day of freedom? A wise and noble leader.
Chief's old eyes spark with mischief. He leans in conspiratorially.
2 words. My flea-bitten friend, sausage heist.
The pack explodes into delighted yips, tails thumping in gleeful anticipation. Rascal meets Lottie's eyes over the chaos, holding her gaze with a wealth of love and understanding. Wherever the road takes us from here, I'm just glad I'll be walking it with you, touching her nose to his.
Always and forever, my darling. To the ends of the earth and back again. Together.
As the pack chatters and schemes, celebrating the simple joy of togetherness, we slowly pull back and up, taking in the cozy scene from high above. The farmhouse windows glow with welcoming warmth, safety for all the lost souls who find their way there. And on the porch, wound together in an inseparable tangle, the one family, different breeds, different backgrounds, but forever bound by a bond of love.
The road that led us here was long and winding, full of hardships we never could have imagined.
We lost friends along the way, but we gained so much more. A love that will last long after our paws have left this earth.
Cherish the family you find, whether by blood or by choice, and when the road gets rough, just keep walking, because you never know what miracle might be waiting around the next bend.
Waiting to welcome you home. We drift up one last time, taking in the whole farmstead and the rolling green country beyond. It looks like a little patch of paradise, a safe haven for the lost and weary. The pack gathers on a hill above the farm, watching the sun set in a symphony of amber and violet. One by one, the spectral pups throw back their heads in a final triumphant howl. A celebration of love, of life. and as their song rises to mingle with the fading sun and the first evening stars, we finally lose sight of them in the golden light. Open road, day. A sun-drenched stretch of highway unfurls like a ribbon through the lush countryside. Birds wheel overhead, their distant cries mingling with the hum of crickets in the roadside brush. Suddenly, a pack of dogs crests a hill in the distance, trotting along the shoulder with purpose in their step. As they draw closer, we recognize the gang. Rascal and Lottie in the lead, Finn scampering between them. Buster, Sarge, Scout, and the rest of the motley crew bring up the rear, tongues lolling in easy camaraderie.
Not that I'm complaining, but mind telling me again why we left a perfectly good farmhouse behind to go gallivanting down the open road?
Rascal chuckles, shooting his old friend a fondly exasperated look over his shoulder. Oh, come on, Buster. Where's your sense of adventure? We've been cooped up on that farm for months now. It's high time we got out and saw the world a bit.
Besides, it's like Patches always said. You never know what kind of excitement might be waiting around the next bend.
Yeah! And maybe we'll make some new friends along the way. Ooh, or discover buried treasure.
Or solve a mystery no one else could crack. The older dogs exchange amused glances as Finn spins increasingly wild daydreams, his imagination running away with him. Sarge clears his throat gruffly.
Now let's not get ahead of ourselves, lad. The open road's not all romance and intrigue. It can be a harsh mistress if you're not careful.
You don't think we'll run into any trouble, do you, Sarge? I mean, we've already had more than our fair share of close scrapes.
Rascal and Lottie fall back a bit to flank the younger dog, nuzzling him reassuringly. Oh, no need to fret, Scout. We've been through the worst this world can throw at us. And we came out the other side stronger than ever. Ain't nothing can shake us now. Gazing adoringly at Rascal.
Truer words were never spoken, my love. Our pack is unbreakable, no matter where the road takes us.
Hey, speaking of the road, does anyone else hear that?
The pack goes still, straining to catch the sound that caught Finn's attention. After a moment, they pick it up. A distant rumbling, growing steadily louder. Buster frowns.
Is that an engine?
More than one from the sound of it, and they're coming this way.
Rascal and Lottie exchange a split-second glance, wordlessly debating their next move. Then Rascal straightens his shoulders, facing the oncoming threat head-on. Everybody off the road, double quick. We let 'em pass, then suss out whether they're friend or foe. The pack scrambles for the ditch as a convoy of battered pickup trucks rounds the bend, kicking up a cloud of dust. They whiz past without slowing, a motley crew of rough-looking men crammed into the cabs and flatbeds.
Boy, they sure were in a hurry. Wonder where they're headed.
Eyes narrowed speculatively. More like what they're running from. You don't hightail it down a back road like that, lest you're trying to shake a tail.
You think they're in some kind of trouble?
I'd bet my best bone on it. Question is, how much of a busybody do we want to be?
Now hold on just a minute. We got no way of knowing what kind of hornet's nest those yahoos might have kicked. Charging in half-cocked is asking for. But Finn is already scrambling back up to the road, nose twitching with excitement.
We've got to follow them. What if someone needs our help? We can't just walk away.
The pup's got a point. If there's good folks in trouble, well, it's not in a dog's nature to turn a blind eye.
The grown dogs all exchange loaded looks, torn between their protective instincts and their responsibility to keep the pack safe. At last, a Rascal nods slowly. We track him, careful-like, just to see what's what. We don't engage unless absolutely necessary. But if someone's in a bad way, we do what we can. Lottie presses against his side, eyes shining with pride and resolve. The others square their shoulders, falling in behind their leaders without hesitation. They're in this together, come what may, setting off at a purposeful trot. All right, gang, let's see where this rabbit hole leads us. Adventures are calling. Abandoned barn, later. The sun hangs low on the horizon, painting the dilapidated structure in shades of orange and dusky violet. The pack lies concealed in the tall grass at the edge of the clearing, eyes fixed on the strange tableau before them. The pickup trucks are parked haphazardly around the barn, men milling around them in a tense, agitated knot. Heated voices drift across the still evening air.
Telling you, it's a raw deal. The boss promised us a cut, and now he's trying to stiff us. I didn't sign up for no charity work.
Now, Mick, let's not fly off the handle. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. The boss ain't never let us down before.
Oh, wake up and smell the horse apples, Clancy. The boss is playing us for suckers, and if we don't watch our step, we're going to end up taking the fall while he just waltzes away whistling.
The other men shift and mutter uneasily, clearly torn between their fear of the unseen boss and their growing resentment. Hidden in the grass, the pack strains their ears to catch every word, puzzling over the cryptic dispute. Buster, under his breath. I don't like the sound of this boss character one bit. Anybody pulls the wool over his own crew's eyes like that ain't worth the dirt on his shoes.
What do you think they did to get stiffed? Must have been something real bad for their boss to turn on.
Maybe they robbed a bank, or hijacked a train full of gold. Ooh, or maybe they're smugglers running from the law.
Hush now, all of you. Getting ahead of ourselves won't do nobody no good. Let's just keep watching and see what...
He trails off as a new figure emerges from the barn, silencing the bickering thugs with his mere presence. He's a tall, rangy fellow with a face like weathered leather and cold, reptilian ease. He surveys his men impassively.
Now, what's all this jawing I hear? Don't tell me y'all are getting cold feet now, after everything we've been through.
The men shuffle and avoid his gaze, cowed by his quiet menace. Only Mick seems to hold on to his defiant spark.
Ain't about cold feet, boss. It's about getting what's owed us. We took all the risks, and now you're cutting us out. How's that fair?
The boss smiles, a chilling sight, devoid of warmth or humour. He steps towards Mick with exaggerated calm.
Mick, I thought you were smarter than this. Fairness ain't got nothing to do with our line of work. It's about who's willing to do what needs doing. And live with the consequences.
With a suddenness that startles the men and hidden dogs alike, the boss lashes out and seizes Mick by the throat. He dangles the weaker man with one hand, icy eyes boring into his bulging ones.
Now, you want to tell me again how unfair I'm being? Or do you want to shut your trap and do your darn job like a good little soldier?
Mick gurgles something inaudible, scrabbling weakly at the boss's inexorable hold. After a long, tense moment, the boss releases him with a contemptuous shove. Mick crumples, gasping and massaging his throat. The other men stare in mute horror, any hint of rebellion quashed. The boss dusts off his hands briskly.
Now that we've got that little hiccup out of the way, let's get down to brass tacks.
Back in the grass, the pack shakes off their own shock and revulsion. Rascal and Lottie exchange stricken glances, the gravity of the situation sinking in. We can't let this stand. That boss is bad news. The kind of bad that'll just keep on spreading if someone doesn't stop him.
Couldn't agree more. A cur like that can't be allowed to sink his teeth in any deeper.
So what are we waiting for? Let's go in there and give that snake what for?
Sarge and Scout rumble their ascent, hackles rising in preparation for a fight. Only Finn looks uncertain, puppyish features drawn tight with sudden trepidation.
But, guys, there's an awful lot of them, and they look real mean. Shouldn't we wait for backup or something?
Rascal softens, pulling the pup close with a comforting paw. I hear you, kiddo. Believe me, charging headfirst into trouble ain't never my first choice either, but sometimes you gotta stand up and do what's right, even if it's the harder path. He gazes around at his pack, eyes bright with conviction. Our family's always been about protecting the vulnerable and Chapter speaking 4. for the voiceless. And right now,
Once again, my brilliant mate
I'd say
cuts right
those
to the
men
quick.
in there need protecting
We've never
from
backed
their
down
own
from a
fear.
bully before, and we're sure
And their
not
boss
starting
needs
now.
a wake-up yip. He won't soon
Rascal
forget.
takes
A shaky breath, the pack
squaring
rumbles
his
their
shoulders
agreement,
beneath
the mantle of
bolstered
leadership
by
Rascal's quiet strength.
All right, gang.
I won't
Lottie
pretend
licks
this
his
ain't gonna be
muscle
dicey,
gently.
but we've faced down worse and come through swinging. Just stay close, watch each other's backs, and give 'em hell. A Finn pushing down his fear.
Yeah! Let's teach those goons what it means to mess with our pack.
I'm gonna enjoy mopping the floor with that boss Mutt's hide. Teach him to push decent folks around.
We'll follow your lead, Rascal, to whatever end.
Rascal swallows hard, humbled and fortified by his pack's unwavering loyalty. He turns to face the barn, sunlight burnishing his fur to gold. Then let's do this. For every kicked dog who ever dared to bite back. Time to even the odds. With that, they slip from the grass and slink towards the barn, bellies low and ears flat. Stopping just short of the vehicles, they hunker down to finalize their plan of attack. Unbeknownst to our intrepid heroes, a dark figure detaches from the side of the barn and melts into the gathering dusk, a shadow among shadows. He slips away unnoticed, headed straight for a battered motorcycle hidden in the brush. The engine rumbles to life with a snarling roar, shattering the tense hush. Rascal and the pack freeze, heads whipping around in alarm as the motorcycle bursts from the tree line, headed straight for them at breakneck speed. Scatter, and group. Go, go, go. The pack explodes like a covey of quail, darting in all directions as the bike bears down on them with murderous intent. The Shida hunches low over the handlebars, face obscured by a dark helmet. But as he rockets by, light glints of something metallic in his hand. A gun, pointed straight at Rascal's heart. Time seems to slow to a crawl. Rascal watches the barrel swing towards him, muzzle flash blooming in the gathering gloom. He hears Lottie scream his name, feels Finn's small body slamming into his side. A searing pain, a splash of crimson across golden fur. A high, agonized yelp that cuts off abruptly. Then, blackness. Silence. Abandoned barn. Night. The pack huddles in a shaft of fading moonlight, clustered around a small, motionless form on the dusty floor. Muzzles and flanks press close, offering comfort and warmth to their fallen comrade. Rascal lies contorted in the center of the mass, eyes glazed with shock and grief. Blood mats the fur of his chest, But it's not his blood. It's Finn's. The pup lies cradled between his father's front paws, breath shallow and laboured. The bullet meant for Rascal found a home in his small body when he leapt into its path. A final desperate act of love and loyalty. Finn. Oh, buddy. Why? Why'd you do it? Finn's eyes flutter open, glazed with pain, but still bright with devotion. Weakly.
Couldn't let him hurt you, Dad. You're too important. The pack needs you.
He coughs wetly, a trickle of blood staining his muzzle. Lottie keens softly, nosing at her baby with trembling breath.
We need you too, darling, so you just stay with us, understand? Keep those beautiful eyes open.
Yeah, kid. You gotta stick around. Who else is gonna keep us old dogs on our toes, eh? One by one, the pack murmurs their love and encouragement, wills their smallest member to fight for his life. Finn's tail gives a feeble wag, a ghost of his usual inexhaustible spirit.
Love you guys. Love you so much. You're the best family a pup could ask for.
He turns his fading gaze back to Rascal, struggling to focus.
Dad, I'm sorry I didn't listen before. Should have stayed back like you said. I just wanted to be brave like you.
Rascal swallows a sob, holding his broken boy closer. You listen to me now, Finley. Oh, you are braver than I ever know. Brave enough to put yourself in danger to protect the ones you love. I'm so proud of you, son. So proud, and so lucky to be your dad. Finn's breathing grows more shallow, his heartbeat fluttering against Rascal's fur like a trapped bird. Lottie presses closer, tears streaming down her muzzle.
Stay with us, baby. Please, please stay. We love you so much. We can't lose you.
But even as she speaks, a terrible stillness settles over Finn's small form. His eyes drift shut, a final sigh shuddering through him. And then he is gone, slipping away in the circle of his family's love.
For a long, airless moment, the pack is frozen, unable to comprehend the enormity of their loss. Then, as one, they throw back their heads in a howl of purest grief, pouring their anguish into the uncaring night. Rascal remains bent over Finn's body, eyes squeezed shut as sobs rack his frame. Lottie presses against his side, offering what cold comfort she can in the depths of her own despair. He was just a pup. Just a baby. It should have been me. It should have...
No, my love. No. Finn made his choice because he loved you. Loved all of us. The greatest honor we can do him now is to keep living that love. Keep fighting for what he believed in.
The pack presses closer, lifting tear-stained muzzles in silent agreement for Finn. For the brave little soul who exemplified the very best of their ragtag family.
The pup's a hero. Ain't never been a truer one, and that's a fact.
He was the best of us. Always saw the good in folks, even when they didn't see it in themselves.
A kinder heart never beat. The world's a darker place without his light in it.
One by one, the pack speaks their tributes, remembering the joyful spark that was Finley. Slowly, painfully, Rascal lifts his head, eyes dark and haunted, but lit with a new, implacable resolve. Finn gave his life to protect us, to protect me. I'll be darned if I let that sacrifice be in vain. He rises to his feet, Finn's body cradled reverently in his jaws. The pack follows suit, shoulders squaring beneath the weight of their purpose. We do right by our boy. We live every day in a way would make him proud. And we never, ever let the bullies of this world break us down.
Never. Finn's courage lives on in all of us. It's our duty and privilege to carry it forward.
As one, the pack turns towards the door, ready to honor their fallen comrade the only way they know how, with love. Rascal leads the way, Finn nestled safe in his gentle hold. His muzzle is streaked with tears, but his stride is strong and sure, fueled by a father's grief and a leader's grit. I've got you, buddy. I've got you, and I'll never let you down again. That's a promise. The pack follows their Ichlifer into the waiting night, broken, battered. The road ahead is dark and full of uncertainty. Hill overlooking dawn. Golden light crests the horizon, painting the distant farmhouse in shades of new beginnings. Beneath a towering oak, a small mound of fresh earth is marked by a cairn of lovingly selected stones. It's Finn's final resting place, a spot chosen for its perfect view of the home and family he cherished more than life itself. Beside the grave, the pack sits in silent vigil, heads bowed and hearts heavy. They've been there all night, standing guard over their fallen brother as he took his place among the earth and stars. Rascal is foremost among them, eyes fixed on the tiny memorial with unblinking intensity. Lottie lies pressed along his length, offering strength and solace in equal measure.
He would have loved it here. Our Finley always did have an eye for beauty.
Remember the first time we brought him to the top of this hill? Couldn't have been more than 6 weeks old. But he took one look at that sunrise and just lit up, like he was seeing the whole world laid out just for him. Lottie huffs a watery chuckle, the memory both sweet and achingly bittersweet.
Our little adventurer, always the first to dive headfirst into life, into love.
Guess he was the first to find his way to the other side of it too. A whine builds in Rascal's chest, cresting into a mournful keen. He buries his muzzle in Lottie's fur, finally allowing himself to crumble in the safety of his mate's presence. Behind them, the rest of the pack huddles in shared sorrow, leaning on one another for support as they grapple with the gaping void left by Finn's absence.
Ain't never getting used to a world without that little scamp's yap ringing in my ears. Keep catching myself turning to make a wisecrack at him, only...
He trails off, unwilling to voice the bleak truth they're all facing. A world without Finn in it seems a colder, crueler place than they ever could have imagined.
What do you suppose it's like? The place he's gone to? You think he's happy there?
Ain't a doubt in my mind, boyo. A soul like Finley's. There's a special corner of forever set aside just for ones like him. All sunshine and open fields and lazy afternoons. Everything a pup could wish for.
One by one, the pack murmurs their assent, clinging to the fragile comfort of imagining Finn at peace and surrounded by love, even beyond the veil. Slowly, our Rascal lifts his head from Lottie's side. His eyes are raw with grief, but there's a new light kindling in their depths. The first sparks of acceptance. Sarge is right. Wherever our boy is now, he's not alone. He's got all our love right there with him, lifting him up and keeping him safe, just like he did for us, every day of his too short life. He struggles to his feet, stiff muscles protesting the long night of stillness and sorrow. But as he finds his balance, so too does his resolve solidify.